Welcome, everybody. It's the last Friday of the month. So you know what that means. If you look down here, little thing going across the screen there, it's time for the June announcements. Hey, we'll get started here in a little bit. I want to welcome aboard Nissy, David, Zach, Gordon, Gary, Tom, Clarence. Let's see, who else do we have here with us today? We've got Tom and looks like Gary. We got a few folks on board. And we've got Leonard Skinnard is here. I always thought of myself as a simple kind of man, but cool. Thanks for joining us, Leonard Skinnard. We got Joseph, Frederick, and Ricky, and Kevin, and Matt. So there's a lot of people out there that are super excited about what we've got planned for you here at Athearn for the month of June. Don't forget, today is the last day to get those pre-orders in with your dealer. There's so many good things that we talked about through the month of May. So if you haven't done so yet, go down there. I know I got to see my dealer about those Chessie GP40-2s. Those are really cool. Let's see who is joining us. We got Jim, Bob, Gavin. We've got John, Stephen, Rick, and Marcos. Mr. Rick, Matt, Derek, Shannon. All right. So we've got a full house here today, and well, let's see what we've got. I know May we had a lot of great things, but June, I don't think we're going to disappoint. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, remember, hasn't been quite a month yet, but a couple of weeks ago, I had Janik and John on board, and we kind of gave you a sneak behind the development door as to what's going on. And this was one of them. And here it is. It is the Genesis 2.0 SD90 Mac. Now, that's right. You have seen this before. We have done this. But there is going to be some changes to this one. So let's get started on this guy. This is an impressive locomotive. So real quick, story time with Jim. It was a warm midsummer afternoon, evening. I was going to college, and it was before one of my courses. It was later in the afternoon, later at night. And I'm sitting in my snazzy 87 Vet. It was a Chevette, so don't get excited. And I'm sitting there, and I'm reading an issue of Trains magazine, and there's this big announcement from EMD about the SD90 Mac. And I just remember looking at this thing and thinking, this thing's huge. This thing's massive. And right away, I was just blown away with this locomotive and everything that the article was saying about it. And it seems hard to believe, but that was just over 25 years ago. And like a lot of these big locomotives, who was on board first? Union Pacific. And here you got Union Pacific. Now, we're offering it in three different schemes, if you will. We've got the flag. We've got and of course, these are all yellow sills, so you're talking 2012 plus. The 2015 is the one with the flag. And, UP invested pretty heavily into this locomotive. And we're going to talk more about the specifics of this rather interesting locomotive in the coming weeks through the month of June. But here's the three that we're offering for you. We'll get into the Genesis 2.0 features in a little bit too. So we had to do Canadian Pacific. Canadian Pacific was another one that ended up getting the SD90 Mac. And really looked nice in that paint scheme, the Golden Beaver, if you will. You're looking at about 1998 forward. And this one's going to have a lot of CP-specific details to it. Real quickly, they have the CP-specific cab, the specific access doors, front-only ditch lights, and this one they're mounted above the walkway. This one is going to have the ground lights only on the engineer side. That's a Canadian Pacific thing. Raised walkways. Why would you have raised walkways? Think about how much snow they get up there. Dual train lines, and just some other really cool features that are specific just to the Canadian Pacific version. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. There we go. Really cool paint scheme on a really interesting locomotive. Now, I'm sure some of you guys out there that go rail fanning, I'm sure you've seen these, the CIT group. I see these occasionally, CIT locomotives anyways. I see these quite a bit on the Transcon when I rail fan the BNSF. This is indicative of a locomotive that was painted after 2008. They were originally in a maroon color, and they went to this blue in 2008. And again, we're going to talk more about these in detail in the next coming weeks. Now, this one has me excited, really does. The Indiana Railroad. I remember reading an article when Indiana Railroad got these, and in 2010 they painted 9025 for its special 25th anniversary, and they did it in this really cool paint scheme. And so this is modeled after that locomotive as it appeared after it got repainted in 2010, and really just really cool. We've not offered Indiana Railroad before, at least on this locomotive anyways. So you guys that are in the the heart of America and Indiana, you're going to want to pick one of these up. It's a really cool paint scheme. Just the standard red and white is a really cool paint scheme, but when you see the 25th anniversary one, that's kind of cool too, how they it's almost like they mimicked the Santa Fe war bonnet if you look at it real carefully, and that's kind of cool how they did that. Here we got a really cool prototype picture. This was sent in to us by Brian Marsh of Overland Models over in Muncie, Indiana. And you probably know Brian. He's been doing model railroad locomotives and accessories for a number of years, and he's a wealth of information, and we want to thank him for sending this really cool picture of 9025. And it's somewhere in Indiana. I don't remember exactly where he grabbed this picture, but really cool. And last but not least, for you Norfolk Southern guys, we've got the former UP onto the Norfolk Southern. Now, you remember back in November, we talked about ACUs. So you can probably imagine where these ended up. But this is how they appeared when they first got to the property. Various different states of markings, if you will. You know, we've got the top one that is they sprayed out the UP, and they've just put a label over the cab with NS and the road number. And in some cases, like the middle one, they just simply put a black stripe through the Union Pacific, so that you can see the different variants there. And of course, these are primed for grime. If you look real carefully, and I'll zoom in on this top one. With this one here, we're really going to be striving to get that decay of the paint. So you see the Harbor Mist gray here. It's got some different shades to it because that's how it weathered in real life. You also can tell that the Armor Yellow has really, really faded out over the years. So these are going to be great if you're modeling the Norfolk Southern around 2014, when they first got these on their property and before they were turned into eventually ACUs. These are all, like I said, primed for grime. Really cool locomotive. Now, the Genesis 2.0, you want to know what that's got. Genesis 2.0. So what we did was we upgraded this locomotive, and we added a few things. We went ahead and used etched metal for the step wells, so that that's not just a solid shelf of plastic anymore. And of course, with Genesis 2.0, you're going to get the lighting features that you don't get in Genesis or Ready to Roll. You get your headlights, of course. You've got your ditch lights, of course. But you're also going to get your number boards and your ground lights. So that's really cool. And then in the sound section, you're going to have that Tsunami 2 sound but it's going to have the dual sugar cube speakers, which just gives it a much more rich and realistic sound. So that's going to be available for pre-order starting today. So if you've been looking for the SD90 again, you're in luck, and it's also coming with some really cool Genesis 2.0 upgrades and some really cool paint schemes that we have not done before. So moving along, like I say at all the announcements, when we do the announcements, I just go through them, show you guys what they are, and then we go into detail in upcoming Train Tuesdays of exactly, some prototype information and things of that nature. So the next thing I want to show you is going to be an offering from Ready to Roll. And it's been a little bit since we've had these out. Let's see. And these are the 16,000 gallon clay slurry tank cars. And once again, we'll zoom in on that a little bit so you can see the really cool stuff that we're working on. So the nice thing about these are perfect for, we've talked about it before. They're perfect for your home layout. They're perfect for modular layouts. They're perfect for club layouts. They're great for operations. We're doing a pretty good broad spectrum this time. And we're doing them in singles. As you can see here, the top two numbers are going to be singles. And then we're doing two packs of 3 each. So starting out with the late 2010s, we're doing the Union Tank car. We're also doing the 1990s Dry Branch Kaolin cars. Same thing. Offered as two different individual road numbers as well as two 3-packs. Sticking with the late 2010s, we've got the SHPX. And I remember these back in the 90s. This is 98 plus, the Amya limestone slurry. These were really common for a while. And I remember seeing these. It was real easy to pick them out with that white and the blue logo and blue stripes. And 2010s plus again, we've got the PCS Phosphate Company. And another one that was very popular for you guys in the 90s. You guys that have been wanting 90s cars, here you go. This is right smack in the middle of the 90s. J.M. Huber. Another one I remember seeing quite a bit. So all these are ready to roll. They work on all different types of both sectional and flex track. Doesn't matter the code. They work on all of that. They do come with the McHenry couplers. And a lot of separately applied details on these. Even though they're ready to run, they have quite a bit of detail, and they're perfect for operating sessions or just running on your home layout as you will. But if you've got an industry that's in need of one of these types of tank cars, June is your month. So pretty exciting about those. Again, we get a lot of requests from you guys out there wanting cars and locomotives from the 90s. So for those that have been asking for stuff from the 90s, I think you're going to be happy with what we're showing you in the month of June. All right. We're going to continue the trend of ready to roll and show you the next. Now, for you folks in the 60s, we've got something for you too. We've got some covered hopper cars. Now, these are the Pullman Standard 4740s. These were very common from the mid-1960s all the way up until even now. You still see them occasionally. Not quite as popular as they used to be, but they're still out there. Now, we've offered these before, and we're offering them in new road names and new road numbers. I know there's Alaska fans out there. Check out what we're doing. 1970s Alaska Railroad, offering this in 2 individual road numbers as well as a pack of 3. Real easy to build up a train here. For those that have modeled the early 2000s into the mid 2000s, we have the General American Marks Company. This one's available in 2 individual packs as well as a pack of 3. Kind of a neat car. 1960s era fans, we've got you a Great Northern. Got the original Great Northern font with the Rocky the Goat logo on there before they stylized it to a more modern look. This was the traditional Great Northern look, and it looks fantastic. For folks modeling the Midwest in the 1970s into the 1980s, we've got an Illinois Central for you. Now, a lot of people probably remember the orange and black versions of these, but these gray ones were very common too, especially throughout the 1970s. So if you're doing some Granger model railroad action in the 70s and 80s, you're definitely going to want to pick up probably the Great Northern and the Illinois Central both. I know we've got some Missouri and Kansas and Texas fans out there because I hear from you all the time. We're offering this very distinctive covered hopper, 1970s era, very MKT and really cool. Offering this in 2 different individual road numbers as a single. And of course, we're offering that as a multi-pack, which will include 3 cars. And all those cars, by the way, they're all going to be different road numbers. There's no duplicates. Also for the 1970s, Norfolk Western. Had a lot of requests for Norfolk Western, and here you are. So if you're modeling from 60s to the 2000s, we've got a covered hopper here for you. A lot of those cars have seen service life from the time they were built in the 60s and 70s all the way until recently. And so it doesn't matter if you're running Burlington Northern Santa Fe, or Illinois Central all the way to CNIC, you've got a covered hopper that'll work for you. And same thing with these. They're going to have separately applied grab irons, a lot of details to these, and they're just perfect for, everything from operations to just running them on a modular setup. Okay, let's see what else we have. So we've got some more. We've got quite a bit of ready to roll for you this month. And the reason why we have a lot of ready to roll is we get a lot of requests for ready to roll. It's a great price point. It's a great operating freight car for different types of operating. And this is one we haven't done in a while. So ready to roll HO 52-foot mill gondola. Now, this is perfect for your scrap dealers, your steel dealers. Even if you're doing some maintenance away stuff, these are perfect for that. Now, these are being offered in 3 different individual cars with different road numbers, and they're also being offered as a 3-pack. So we're doing the CIT group. Here you can see the Kansas City Southern. And this one's a prime for grime one. You can see it's got a little bit of weathering to it from a previous owner. They've crossed that out and they've put in Kansas City Southern. Northwestern Oklahoma. That one's pretty common. How about the Rock Island one? And it's in Rock Island blue to boot. That's pretty cool. So Rock Island fans, there you go. You're looking at square 1970s modeling, and maybe you've got a connecting road to the Rock Island and you're modeling after 1980. You can always justify whether it be your homegrown road or a connecting road. You could always justify these in your fleet. We've got Wisconsin Central and we have Washington Central. So all of these are available as there's 3 different singles and 1 pack of 3. And again, all road numbers are different. There's no duplicates. Real easy to make a nice solid train of these if you wanted to. So yeah, we've got a lot of ready to roll this month, and N scale guys, I hear you out there. Don't worry, we've got some stuff for you too. We're not going to forget about the N scale guys. Let's see what our next item is. So for the more modern guys out there, we've got some ready to roll HO scale 45-foot containers. You guys that are doing intermodal, you always need containers. And we've talked about this on the program before. There's so many different uses for these containers on your layout. So once again, these are offered in 2 different packs of 3. We've got the HMM KOBC. We've got NOL. And the NOL, by the way, is prime for grime. So this is kind of faded out. It's made to look like it's seen some service. And it's also the great starting point for you to continue weathering how you like. We've got Crowley. We have the Dong Fang. And APL. Those are very common. And of course, Horizon Lines. Horizon Lines 2 is another one that we're offering in the prime for grime. All of these HO scale containers ready to go. They don't have to do anything to them. They've got some great detail. They've got the individual rods on the end. They're not molded in like some. These are actually separate pieces. And they're available in 2 packs of 3. So again, real easy to bring up your intermodal yard up to snuff real quickly. Okay. Now, I've got another ready to roll for you, but it's not a freight car and it's not a container. You probably are wondering what it is. There's other things in ready to roll besides freight cars, locomotives, and containers. So I wonder if anybody will know what it is. Well, let me show you. And this is one that we have not done in quite a while. So if you're looking for, this is squarely put for the guys that are modeling the 1950s into the 60s. You could even justify these into the 70s. And that is the F100 panel truck. This is a licensed model working through Ford. And these are great for, your industrial areas, you're parked out in front of a house, any type of detail type thing. And we had some fun with these or not road names, but different companies. We did a Bell Telephone one, very similar, much more modern than the Bell Telephone Model A's that we offered a few months ago. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see the cool artwork. So we got Bell Telephone and Harrison's Hardware, perfect for your downtown modeling needs. Of course, Railway Express. Midtown Appliance, sales and service. I thought the Reliable Plumbing one was kind of cool. We tried to make the artwork look the part of the vehicle. You don't want to have advertising that looks out of place on the vehicle. So we tried to do kind of a retro looking artwork that would fit the vehicle. We've got your police, your small town police. And hey, there's even an Athearn 75th anniversary. So we did take a little bit of liberty there. It's an F100. It's a 1950s F100. We also got the fire and rescue here that I forgot to mention. But the Athearn 75th anniversary one. So if you've got the caboose and we're going to be doing some other things too. You're going to want to pick this up. I think this little guy here is going to be pretty popular with a lot of the collectibles, and it'd be kind of cool to put that somewhere on your layout, somewhere on your module. Something a little different. Again, we haven't done this one in a while. So that gives you some, so far we've got a lot of different ready to roll for your layout or your modules. So we also have some Roundhouse too. And let me show you what we're doing for you for the month of June in Roundhouse. Let's see. And I think you guys are going to like this. Now, you know, we've done a lot of Genesis cabooses in the last few runs. A lot of guys have been really happy with that. We wanted to do some cabooses under the Roundhouse line too. So we're bringing out these. Now, Roundhouse, one thing to remember is Roundhouse is not Genesis or Ready to Roll. While there are examples of the roads that we're showing here that use cabooses that were similar or of this type, they're not going to be, every single little detail is going to be perfect. These are more of a, they can be considered an entry level, or for somebody that wants this as a starting point and go further, because obviously Great Northern had this wide vision caboose. And the Roundhouse line is not going to have all those details that a Genesis or a Ready to Roll would have. So it kind of leaves it open for you if you want to do your own projects. So we're doing the Rock Island. We're doing that in 3 different road numbers, and that classic red and black. Of course, the Great Northern and the big sky blue. 3 different road numbers. Now here's one we haven't done before. Ferromex. Pretty cool paint scheme. That's also being done in 3 different road numbers. And check this out. We did the Frisco. We did the typical Mandarin orange, red, and white. And we did the one above it, which is the Bicentennial. Pretty cool paint scheme. And remember, starting as early as I'd say about 72, 73, a lot of railroads got on board to celebrate the Americans' independence by painting up their equipment in red, white, and blue in time for the Bicentennial. And Frisco is one of them, and this is one of the paint schemes that they had. And we thought this would be a great addition. Now, here's something else. Got a Burlington Northern. Now, I know some guys are going to be like, hey, that's not right. Burlington Northern never painted their cupola yellow and had a yellow logo. Yeah, actually they did. They actually did. And then coming at to the bottom of a page, we are going to do the Northern Pacific and the Canadian Pacific as well. So these are great cabooses for, like I said, anybody that's getting into the entry level, all the way to somebody that's like, you know what, I know this caboose exists. I know it's a style of caboose, this Burlington Northern caboose, but I want to add to it. I want to put some things on it. I want to take some things off from it. Kind of think of it as a kit bash. So we wanted to offer these in the Roundhouse line for you guys out there that are either into just getting into the hobby and you want to try out with these Roundhouse offerings, or it's a starting point for a really cool project that you're working on. All right, so for all you N-scale guys out there, now I have a couple of releases for you too. We went ahead and did the containers for you N-scale guys too. So it's just like the Ready to Roll HO ones, just N-scale. Same roads, and they're both available in packs of 3, 2 per road name. And just like the HO ones, the NOL and the Horizon, they're both prime for grime. Now, the really cool thing about these N-scale cars is most, if not all, of the printing that's available in the HO versions are available in the N-scale versions. So it's amazing to me how the factory can get all that printing on these little tiny containers in N-scale. So there you go. The Horizon lines also prime for grime. this is perfect for you N-scale guys, especially if you're part of Fremo N or N-Track or any of those modular clubs that, you know, are going to be getting back together again for the shows coming up this year, and run those long intermodal trains. These are perfect for populating that. And then last but not least, for you guys that are N-scale, modeling the 60s, 70s, even into the 80s, and maybe you've got a switching layout, maybe you've got a layout that's got a lot of steel industry in it or scrap. You're probably figured out what I'm alluding to here. We're going to do the Milgans for you guys too. We're doing the Milgans, the 52-foot Milgans in N-scale. And same road numbers, or sorry, same road names as the HO scale. I have a feeling that the Wisconsin Central and the Rock Island ones are going to be big with a lot of you N-scale guys. But just like in the HO scale, we're offering them in 3 different individuals, as well as a single pack that includes 3 cars. So we have CIT Group, Kansas City Southern, which is prime for grime, just like the HO scale counterpart. Northwestern Oklahoma, Rock Island, Wisconsin Central, and Washington Central. Now, something important to note to the N-scale guys, these are body-mounted couplers, and the ride height is correct. If you look carefully, see how the trucks are sitting there? We've tried to make these as accurate as possible because we know the N-scale guys are getting more and more demanding as far as how the cars look, how prototype correct they are. So there you have it. We got a great month coming ahead up here for you. We've got all of that we're going to talk about in future Train Tuesdays. We're going to also keep putting in little tidbits here for you. Don't forget, we're working on those Surfliner cars. We're working on the AC 4400. There's some other neat stuff that I'm sure you guys are going to be happy to see. For right now, we've got a little bit of time. I'm going to take you guys to Oklahoma City, actually. We'll do a little bit of Q&A. I've seen some questions pop up while I'm doing the announcements. So here's your time to ask a few questions. And then we'll be off to a great weekend. And we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and see what's happening in Oklahoma City. Well, look at that. Looks like we got ourselves a train. That's a nice change of pace. All right, so like I said, we've got a little bit of time for some questions. Like I said, we just kind of go through the top and we talk about what we're going to show you. You can always go to our website. The website has been updated. So all of the different things that we've talked about this afternoon are available to view on our website. And you can start making pre-orders this afternoon with your dealers. Let's see. You are welcome, Bobby. That was something that I think a few of you guys were asking for on a couple of Train Tuesdays not too long ago. So, yeah, thanks for that. You are very welcome. Let's see. Yeah, I hear you. We're going to be going to some shows too. It's coming, along with some Athearn gear. Yeah, Terry, I was going to say, I think I heard you or saw you saying something in the comments earlier. This is right in front of your club. In fact, when I went to set this up, there was I'm not sure if they were club members or just rail enthusiasts, but they were waving to the camera. This is Virtual Rail Fan, of course, and I believe this is a new camera. I don't remember seeing this one in my feed before. Let's see, I'm scrolling back a little bit just to make sure there were not any questions I might have overlooked while I was showing you all the cool stuff we're coming out with. So a lot of good comments. I'm just kind of going through while we wait for a train. And seeing what we've got here. So while I'm looking at the comments, just a quick reminder, today is your last day to order, pre-order with your dealer or your online retailer of your choice, everything that we talked about in May. And I'm pretty excited about the SD40-2s, or I'm sorry, the GP40-2s, specifically the chassis ones. Those are really cool. Wow, you guys are easy today. I don't see a lot of questions. A lot of people are happy. Tom's happy about the Rock Island Caboose. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Rock Island gets a little bit of love this month, as well as we got some Norfolk Western in there, Illinois Central. I know there's some guys out there that like Illinois Central, and of course MKT. Yeah, you guys are always happy to see some MKT stuff. Let's see. Yes, Zach, that is correct. I'll put your answer up there. Blue CEFX SD90 Macs. Those were released to BNSF in 2014. Yeah, I've probably got pictures of them somewhere because I've seen them on the Transcon, as well as other. But I'll have to look through my pictures at some point. Let's see. Chris, I see a question about decals. Specifically, any decal will work. If you go to there's many different decal companies out there, and you can get everything from data. You can even get rivets and things of that nature. So yeah, you can get one of those cabooses, the Roundhouse cabooses, and really, I mean, we give you the basis for something that could be your next project, and you'd be surprised what you can do with one of those. There's plenty of detail parts out there, decals. Some people have been known to actually remove the paint and do another paint scheme and detail them up and put an interior in them. I mean, the only limit is your time and your imagination, really. Let's see. We need a fan appreciation day at the warehouse. Cake and ice cream. Like Q fans? Or you mean U fans? You say fans, I'm thinking of the top of the locomotive. It looks like Matt is pretty excited about the Indiana SD90s. Yeah, I'm pretty excited too. Those are really cool. It's kind of cool to see a line like that have that type of locomotive. It's really cool. Andrew, you're asking, can you guys make the SD90 Mac with no wings logo, just Union Pacific? Probably in future releases, yeah. Can probably do that in future releases. For this release, the models that we chose all had the wings. But stay tuned. I mean, we're always doing different. There's actually a lot of variants of Union Pacific that we can do. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, back in the old days when Atherton was in Compton, they had a fan appreciation day, and I unfortunately never got to go to one of those because at that point I was on the other end of the country. Nothing in the works right now, but that does not mean anything. We're constantly working on new projects, and something that we're doing differently is, every once in a while we're gonna show you something that we're working on, and we did that a couple of weeks ago with the SD90, the AC4400, and also the Surfliners. So we'll keep showing, we'll keep sharing stuff on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and of course on Train Tuesdays. Yes, eventually. We offered 2 in January, I believe. And yep, going forward, we'll be doing all of those. Chris, will the new SD90 Mac have light clipboard light SD60M for easy shell removal? I'll have to get back to you on that, Chris. When we talk about the SD90 in detail, probably next week, we'll have to see. There's been a lot of updates that the guys have done on those. So, Zach, will you do the Amtrak Heritage Unit 161? I don't know if that specific one is in the works or not, but we notice things, and I think it's a fair assumption that there's going to be more of those heritage units in the future. That's a good question. Has Atherton ever put out a list of the top selling models and road names? To my knowledge, not recently. Maybe a while ago, but not recently. And that's really changed a lot over the years. If you look back into the 1980s, of course the big ones were UP, Santa Fe, um, Pennsylvania, New York Central, stuff like that. And it was mainly limited to what was available. Nowadays, we live in a world where we can offer SD90s in Indiana Railroad, which that wasn't possible back in the old days. You didn't have the smaller class ones and the short lines like we do now. So yeah, it might be an interesting one to see. I can tell you, Union Pacific's always popular, and Norfolk Southern's another one that's very popular. Those two come to mind right away. But maybe we'll have to figure out, see what the best sellers are. Yeah, it would definitely be interesting to see, especially like you said, with the younger modelers involved, to see what they're into. Let's see. William, any more of the legendary liveries coming out for BNSF predecessors? Not in the immediate future that I know of. Not that I know of, but the legendary liveries does really well for us. And I know it's very polarizing. Some guys really like it, some guys don't. But they seem to sell really well for us. And there's a group of folks out there that think an ES44 and Burlington red and gray looks pretty cool. So we'll continue to work on legendary liveries and have some other surprises for you as the year goes on. Want to put James up here. He's like, hey, Jim, hope you're having a great week. What model projects have you been working on lately? Now, if you don't know, James has Hybrid Hobby over at YouTube, and he just uploaded a really cool review video of the Genesis GP18 in Burlington Northern. If you have not seen that, go over to Hybrid Hobbies on YouTube and check out his review. It's also going to be shared on our Facebook over the weekend. So definitely check that out. As far as projects that I'm working on, man, I'm working on an N scale and an HO scale switching layout, as well as something for Athearn that I'm hoping a lot of you guys out there, when you come and see us at the RPM meet this summer and at the Spring Creek show, you'll get a chance to see what I've been working on and get a chance to run it. That's what I'm hoping anyways. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and pull the plug on this because, hey, it's the weekend. And you guys are probably going to want to punch out of work here pretty soon and get to the workbench. So with that being said, we have a special weekend for all of us here in the States. This is a long weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. And with that, I want to express my thoughts and hopefully your thoughts of what Memorial Day is. And we need to remember that. It's not always all about mattress sales and car sales and things of that nature. A lot of men and women before us made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms here in the States and the free world for that matter. And so think about that. Think about those folks that did that, and we appreciate that. And with that being said, I want you to all have a happy and safe Memorial Day. Be healthy, be happy, do some modeling out there, be nice to others, and above all, high greens, everybody. Have a great weekend. Till next time.